they were comprehensive and transparent in their responses to the Department of Justice. Jack Callahan, Fox News.
Republican Senators Rick Scott of Florida and Josh Hawley of Missouri have introduced a bill known as the World Health Organization Accountability Act. Senator Scott says it aims to seek accountability from the WHO.
The WHO has become a propaganda arm for the Communist Party of China. That's all they are. They didn't help the world. They didn't help Americans. We're the biggest donor to the WHO. So before we give them another dime, they need new leadership. They need to actually act like the World Health Organization, do a real investigation of what happened in Wuhan.
President Biden rejoined the WHO soon after taking office. Tomorrow isn't just Valentine's Day for humans.
Rover.com reports that 60% of U.S. dog owners consider their canine companions their Valentines this year. 88% of people surveyed are.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
A flash flood warning is in effect, and authorities are asking people to stay indoors and avoid the roads.
We are urging everyone to seek shelter. Remember, being carried away by this storm is very different from the joy of being carried by Bogdan and seeing for miles from his shoulders.
The typhoon is predicted to hit the South Carolina coast the hardest. Chad Williams is live on the scene now. Wind looks pretty strong out there, Chad.
Barely, but it is nothing compared to Bogdan.
So people in South Carolina aren't worried?
No, they laugh at the storm. They are piling sandbags to stop the water. Would mere sand stop Bogdan?
But there is real danger. Authorities say that 3 people were killed outside of Charleston when their car was washed into a ravine.
And in that we have proof. The storm has failed the true test of strength. Bogdan's greatest power is his gentle heart. Bogdan would never hurl a car full of people into a ravine.
So from what you're seeing out there, real strength lies within?
Yes. This storm, like all else, is weaker than Bogdan.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, yet another episode here where you can take control of the airwaves. As always, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Some big guy with a beard.
Hey, big guy.
I guess you can call me Captain if you want to.
Good to have you here. So you can bring up anything you want as usual. One of the things that we usually know, okay, it's time to talk about a thing, is if we both bring kind of the same thing into the studio.
True.
Because we always do our show prep independently.
Yep.
And we don't ever check notes until like 5 minutes before the show. And so we both had a story about these domestic travel restrictions. Plus, well, I guess they're talking about domestic travel restrictions. Plus, on the way, you've got an absolutely ridiculous story about this stimulus check and how far it's supposed to go for a good chunk of Americans.
I mean, I left the Seattle area where it's arguably one of the most expensive cities in the United States to live in, outside of, say, New York or Los Angeles, those types of places. But, and I get here and I was like, oh, wow. My money goes further here, than it did there.
Sure.
But according to what they're saying,
go this far.
it doesn't go that far.
We'll get into it. But first up, from the McClatchy D.C. Bureau, the Biden administration is considering whether to impose domestic travel restrictions, including on Florida, fearful that coronavirus mutations are threatening to reverse hard-fought progress on the pandemic. And the progress is what exactly? Because didn't they say there's like 4,000 variants of this thing now? I thought I saw there's a New Hampshire variant now.
Oh, really?
Apparently.
We get like a live free or die COVID? Wow. Wait, is that going to be the new thing? You know how people used to be able to pay a fee to get like a star named after themselves? I wonder if you could pay a fee to get a COVID variant named after yourself.
Outbreaks of the new variants, including a highly contagious one first identified in the United Kingdom, as well as others from South Africa and Brazil, that scientists worry can evade existing vaccines, had lent urgency to a review of potential travel restrictions within the United States, one federal official said. Now, I do find myself wondering, what do people think about this? Now that there's been all of these insane things over the last year almost now, since, what was it, March of last year? So we're coming up on almost an entire year.
Going to be a year in like 2 weeks or something.
These restrictions have been so deleterious to the economy. People have lost their jobs. Businesses have shut down. People have been committing suicide. People don't talk to one another. They don't hug each other. It's so insane what has happened. Now, can they just float out domestic travel restrictions and just see what people think? Are they going to buy this? I think they probably will.
Oh, if the government said so, yeah, they're. I can't
what
believe.
Won't they do?
I can't believe still. I mean, I can because of the amount of dumbing down that the public school system has done to otherwise, reasonable folks, I guess. But it still seems ludicrous to me that people are putting up with this, and the government can say anything. The government can say, "Hey, guess what? You've got to dance a jig on 32nd Avenue with a banana in your ear, and that'll prevent COVID." People would do it.
Didn't CDC just put out a notice saying that 2 masks are better than 1 or something like that? So, I mean, it's just absolute madness.
Well, and they're talking about how the swab up the booty is a better test for COVID than the one up your nose.
Yeah.
So people are buying that as well.
Yep, bend over.
Right, So you're wearing a mask, you're taking a Q-tip in their hind quarters.
The government literally has people bending over for them. I mean, that's what they've always had you doing, to some extent or another. But it's now literal.
I'm sure there's a group of people getting together on a Zoom call or in a private conference room somewhere just going, they're making bets. They're like, I bet you we can make them take an anal swab.
Yeah.
Right?
Will they do it?
Will they do it? Oh, yeah, 2 masks. Let's see if we get them to wear 2. Got $100 on it, pal.
603-283-6160 is the number if you want to join us here. So now they're talking about domestic travel restrictions. And again, they've already had significant international travel restrictions across the entire planet. Lots of countries restricting travel. Canada will not let you in. Last I heard, at least, they won't let you in if you're from the United States.
Without putting you in a COVID camp for 14 days.
I don't even think it's allowed. I don't even think it's an option.
I had a story, I don't know if it was covered on Free Talk Live, about a guy who did get quarantined in a Canadian camp COVID for 14 days against his will. He's like, I don't want to be here, but they wouldn't let him out. So
how far will it go? Well, discussions in the administration over potential travel restrictions do not target a specific state, but focus on how to prevent the spread of variants that appear to be surging in a number of states, including Florida and California. So that's the new excuse is, whoa, there's a variant there, and we can't let the variant. So COVID on its own, no big deal. The variants, though, that's the new scare factor.
Yep.
And now it's like a much larger scare factor, right? Because, there's 4,000 variants.
How did they come up? From everything I've read, they can't even isolate the COVID itself.
How do they figure out
how do they
variants?
figure out? Where does this data come from? I'm no scientist, so
me neither.
I don't know. I don't understand the molecular biology aspect of this thing.
But that's the thing, Captain. I mean, we've had 2 doctors, medical doctors, have come up here to Keene, New Hampshire, where we live, and they've come to our meetups here. We have libertarian meetups where we don't wear masks and we don't obey what the government says.
Right.
And these doctors have come up from Vermont and come up from Massachusetts, and they've said this is BS. So some scientists say one thing, and others say another thing. That's what science is about, right? Where there's these competing theories, and you're testing them constantly, and you're breaking them down. But now, according to the government, the science is settled, and so we only need to trust the government scientists.
Well, right. They're, of course, feeding you the government-approved scientists instead of the personally approved scientists.
Oh, and if you've got another scientist who says a different thing from what the government-approved scientists say, and that scientist that you know wants to post on something like Twitter or Facebook or some YouTube, one of these centrally controlled mega tech platforms, well, guess what? They're going to have their video taken down.
Going to get censored.
They're going to have their tweet taken down, their social media posts be taken down.
Going to get canceled.
Because their opinions aren't the state's opinions, and only the state scientists' opinions matter when it comes to public health. Because, well, the state. I mean, what else are you supposed to say here? These people have so successfully indoctrinated the American population.
It's cancel culture, too.
That's true.
You know, I don't know if you guys talked in the last couple of days. I'm a couple of days behind on listening to the show, but did you talk about the Gina Carano thing?
No, I've heard this is an actress with The Mandalorian, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah, so she made a post saying something about, I'm paraphrasing here, I probably can look it up, but something about, hey, history has been rewritten in such a way that people don't recall that it was actual citizens that were, making fun of the Jews and beating the Jews in the streets. And so the government made them enemies of the people first, and that's why it was so easy for them to round them up. How is that any different, by all this political hate? I'm paraphrasing. That's pretty close to what she said.
And she got fired over this.
She got fired over that specific tweet.
Oh, so you can't have an opinion and work for a mega tech company or big entertainment or whoever.
Right. Now, she was already successful in her own right in the MMA world. She's a big girl. She's a women's MMA fighter and that kind of thing. And they put her in The Mandalorian because she fit the bill for that particular character. And she had made tweets before about, things that, the lefties don't like.
Was she
a
major actress in the show, or was she like a supporting character?
Supporting. She was a sidekick. Not in
so do you think
every
they'll be able to
episode.
just write her out and be like, darn, she died in an attack from the Empire?
I don't think it'll be a problem for Disney to write it out. But, she was one of my favorite sidekicks on the show.
Wow.
So,
is there a boycott that is going on over this?
I'm not aware of one.
Or are the people that are on her side so small in number and or so cowardly that they're not willing to come out in favor of her, in support of her?
There's been plenty of voiced support that I've seen.
Okay.
They're like, hey, this is, this sucks. This is dumb. But, they're saying that Disney himself would be rolling over in his grave because Disney Walt hated communists.
Oh, wow.
So
603-283-6160 if you want to join us here. Domestic travel restrictions. If you've heard about this, or when you heard about this, maybe you just heard about it, is this okay? Is this something that you would support? 603-283-6160. You can take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live. It's the live Saturday edition of the show.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Clark County paramedics responded to a frantic 911 call from a nearby motel this morning, where the Lord our God, divine creator and ruler of the universe, had been found nude and unconscious following his latest suicide attempt. God, who sources say had recently grown far more depressed and withdrawn from humanity than usual, reportedly attempted to hang himself from the base of his motel showerhead after ingesting an unknown quantity of Ambien. Motel sources claim that God's room had been left in a state of disarray, and revealed that they had found a brief note written by the omnipotent deity, saying that the suicide stems from long periods of unhappiness he had been suffering in recent millennia, including the death of his only child, thousands of years of war and genocide, chronic weight gain, and the aftermath of his messy 15,088 BC divorce. Paramedics say the Supreme Being had no pulse when they arrived. The Lord's overdose comes in the wake of several widely publicized previous suicide attempts, including a 1985 incident when the Lord leapt from the Grand Canyon but changed into a bird at the last second and flew to safety.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. The number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Domestic travel restrictions are apparently being discussed. This is McClatchy, D.C. It's a major news organization reporting that the Biden administration is talking about it. Now, they're in the talking about it stage, but the fact, they're floating this out there. They want to see what kind of reactions they get from people. And what's your reaction?
Well, and there's another article that I would like to get to today, but there is a mention about this from Florida's governor specifically to Joe Biden about what he thinks of these travel restrictions. That's encompassed within another bit that I'd like to talk about.
Okay, but also you brought up this Gina Carano story. Now, she's an actress, apparently with The Mandalorian, and a fairly, noteworthy role. People are paying attention to this news story that she said something on, where was it that she posted
She
this?
put a tweet. Yeah.
Okay, so she tweeted something out and subsequently was fired from her role on this very popular television series.
Yes.
So what was it that she said? You pulled up the actual quote.
I did. I'd actually saved it earlier today because I thought it might come up during the show.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the actual tweet that she put out. Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. Mm-hmm. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? ?
Or whatever. Maybe not even a political view. Maybe somebody who doesn't want to wear a mask.
Right.
Because that's not political.
But and so what they're saying is that they fired her for hate speech, anti-Semitic views, blah, 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 blah,
there's
blah.
nothing hateful in there. That's a statement about history.
It's a statement of fact, near as I can tell, and then a question. How is that any different from hating someone from their political views?
Yeah,
And
there's nothing to be there's nothing to be upset about in what she said there at all. It's a thought-provoking statement with a historic basis.
Yes.
I mean, that's ultimately what this woman was fired for.
Yes.
And it's absolutely outrageous what has happened to her. I'm glad you clued me in. I'd seen the headlines, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, another person got fired. I don't have time for this. But very interesting. The number here is 603-283-6160. I'm going to go to the Matrix chat server where Derek J. is on the line with us. Derek J. Freeman?
I'm in the Matrix.
Hey,
Morpheus?
You sound pretty great.
I am the one. I'm feeling great. I'm in a really good mood, and I want to tell your listeners about the most fun that they're going to have this summer is at Fork Fest.
Ooh,
I'm so excited. It's coming up, and every year, it gets better. For those who don't know, Fork Fest is a decentralized party in the woods, and it's a lot of things to a lot of people, but to me, it's a place where people gather to talk about technology and Bitcoin and independent living.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of great, happy people. And the interesting thing that's unique about it that but some people may not, is there are no organizers.
That's right.
Which creates a really unique experience. Because if there are no organizers like setting things up for you and telling you how it has to be, well, that leaves you a lot of opportunities to be creative and think of cool ways you can serve your neighbors in this little confined little town that sort of springs up for 2 weeks in June 20th to July 5th.
Now that's interesting because you're calling Fork Fest a 2-week long event, whereas other people have been saying it's a 1-week long event. And this is the interesting thing about Fork Fest is it's up to the people who attend to decide this. Some people will be attending that first week that you're talking about, June 20th-ish to the 27th, and they'll be calling it the Porcupine Freedom Festival because there is going to be an event happening on that campground that's been happening there for 18 years that has scaled down and has decentralized to the point where it can coexist with Fork Fest. And it's actually the event that Fork Fest sprung out of or forked off from 5 years ago, right?
That's right. It is not to be confused with the Pork Fest. It is Fork Fest, and people can learn more at forkfest.com. That is where you can register that you have a site and you want people to know about it. So if you have something to vend or you just want your friends to know where they can find you, put yourself down on forkfest.com, and people are going to be using it all week to find each other, find things for sale, food, events,
this
sell
is really
things to each other.
So there's been something that has been lacking from Fork Fest for the whole time Fork Fest has existed is some kind of a place where people can promote what they're doing online. Because obviously there's the real life component of you've got a tent, people are hungry, they're going to walk by, they're going to have, you're going to have something tasty that's being cooked there and they're going to stop, right? So that's going to bring you some business. But if you don't have food or you got something else or whatever, you just want everybody on the campground to know about a thing. There's never been like a central map or anything like that. Is that what you've created, Derek J? Is that what's going to be at forkfest.com? Because I'm on the website right now, and I see that you can register for like a campsite.
That's right. Everybody should play. Everybody should play this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. The game is you come to Fork Fest and you try and win as much money from each other, from the other people as possible. Do what you think is fun and cool, offer something, a product or service, and list it, and let people know about it.
And this is going to be, as the event comes closer, I imagine there's going to be some sort of a map or a list that will appear on this website?
Get this. I don't want to spill the beans too much, but today I spent a couple hours. Well, I spent a couple hours today doing something very cool. I took the campground map and I started geolocating each of the campsites. And the idea is, let's see if we can do it. But the idea is that you would, once you claim your campsite, people would be able to find you with their regular phone GPS. They would be able to find what's nearby, what's closest to them. Hey, what's open right now, and all that info that you would expect to find, if you're walking around a regular town. This is Freedom Town.
I love this. This sounds so cool because last year what happened was it was like during the Porcupine Freedom Festival, Aria from Free Talk Live and the Reformed Satanic Church, she found this company that like makes apps, and she hired them to throw out this Fork Fest app, and in a pinch it worked. Like it was, but the problem was it was still this centralized thing where if you had a thing that was happening, you had to let Aria know, and then Aria had to update the app, and we couldn't like crowdsource in any meaningful sense. And it sounds like this website is actually going to allow people to just sort of submit their thing. And will they be able to, after they've submitted, obviously I'm just asking questions here, I don't know anything about this, will they be able to go back and like make a change to something they've submitted?
I don't know what it's going to be. Right now, it's as simple as get yourself listed, put yourself on the map so that people can find you. They know you're there, even if you're not a vendor. Put yourself on there. I know, like Jim Babb, he throws a party. Where's the pirate party? Okay, we'll just put the pirate party on forkfest.com, and then everyone knows where to find stuff. Yeah.
I want to see more and hear more about this as it develops. It's actually the second ForkFest website I've been aware of. We've been promoting ForkFest.party, which is sort of like a generic, here's what this event is about thing. But this is like the most useful sounding site that I've ever heard of with ForkFest. So was there more you wanted to share, or did that pretty much cover it, Derek J?
Hey, that's it for today. Go to forkfest.com.
I'm there right now.
Dude,
thanks,
awesome.
Man. I appreciate it. And we'll talk more about when this is happening coming up.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Is Free Talk Live, and the number if you want to join us here, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We'll talk about domestic travel restrictions some more, although if they are in place by the summertime, it might be a challenge to get to ForkFest 2021.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, so keep that in mind as you plan for the week of... Now, we've been saying it's 1 week. Derek J. said it was going to be 2. The week we've been promoting is June 28th through July 4th. If you want to have just the ForkFest experience where there's not a paid festival that's also happening on the same location, which is the Porcupine Freedom Festival, again, fine festival, but if you don't have 2 weeks
right,
and you just have 1 week, we'd love to have you at ForkFest, which happens, we are saying, from June 28th through July 4th, because there's just some people that don't have 2 weeks. But if you do have that extra week, go to the Porcupine Freedom Festival week, because that's going to be a fun week.
I'm going to try and make it to both. I don't know if I can get the full 2 weeks or not.
Or another option is do the weekend of the Porcupine Freedom Festival and then stay on for the next week.
Right. That might be the way things turn out. Also, in the interest of shameless self-promotion, FUD is discussing...
That's your band.
Yes, FUD is the name of the band. It's an acronym. It stands for Fear, Uncertainty, and Doubt. That comes out of the cryptocurrency world.
Fear, Uncertainty, and Doubt definitely sounds more menacing.
I'm Fear because I kind of look menacing. Aria is uncertainty and the drummer, Michael, he's Doubt.
But like... when you say all the words, you know what the letters stand for, it sounds more menacing than FUD. You know, like FUD just sort
of. We may have somebody else joining the outfit musically.
Really?
Somebody on the
bassist?
On the bass.
Ooh.
Maybe a Fishman.
All right,
we
cool.
don't know. We can't say for sure. There's somebody who has expressed interest and is, you know, at least looking at the tunes that we want to do.
And you guys are planning on playing a show, which you played your first one and only one so far at ForkFest 2020.
Yes.
And so you're going to do another one at ForkFest 2021.
And hopefully we can do, you know, I don't want to spill the beans too much. We have some things in mind that we may try to accomplish, so I won't say what they are for fear that we won't accomplish them.
So it'll all be happening at Rogers Campground, June 28th through July 4th. It's not too late for you to book your campsite. In fact, I need to confirm with the campground owner that we're going to be in the same place. I'm pretty sure we will be, but I always like to double check, you know, before I go around saying 100% where we're going to be. But we will be somewhere on the campground. That much I am certain of. You can go to forkfest.party to learn more generally about the event. The forkfest.party website will link you over to the Forkfest chat room and the Forkfest forum. And then, of course, there's Derek J's site that he's talking about, forkfest.com. That's if you know you're going and you know what site you're going to be on, you can actually promote the thing that you're doing there.
I'm sure we can link back the two together.
That's a great idea. Yeah. So we'll work on that later on. But check it out, forkfest.party. And mark your calendar June 28th through July 4th. Start planning now. Don't just mark your calendar, but, you know, call Crosby, call up Rogers Campground and book your site. RV sites, they got those. Campsites, you can do that. And motel rooms while they're available at, once again, Rogers Campground, June 28th through July 4th. We're going to continue here with this news about domestic travel restrictions. Now, they have not been put in place yet, but I do find myself wondering, what is it that Americans think about this proposal?
Well, so haven't they, though? I mean, aren't they requiring people to show that you have a vaccine or a non-positive test I believe, not the vaccine, but I believe they are requiring a non-positive test within 3 days before you travel.
Really?
I believe that's already in place.
Okay, because I did travel recently. I went down to Texas. I flew.
Yeah.
I did not want to fly, but, got to do what you got to do for somebody you care about. And so I went down there, and there was no mandate or anything like that as far as a test was concerned.
I think what I'm thinking of is, on the way in and the way out of the country.
Oh, okay. International.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah, they definitely have those.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you want to go to, Mexico, right, for example, for a weekend, right?
And Acapulco's coming up.
Right. Or a week or whatever, right? And you are able to produce this document that says you have tested negative within the last 3 days.
And from what I understand, you can get fake documents.
Yes, but now, so you go to, we'll use Acapulco in this, for this argument. You go, it's a week long. How are you going to get a test within 3 days to fly back?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. You'd have to get one in Acapulco.
So you got to make that arrangement ahead of time before you even go with some sort of medical facility there, with some sort of an approved doctor that can give you the correct...
Or you can just get a fake Mexican document.
Okay, but I'm just saying that these are the problems that this type of restriction causes.
If I were a doctor attending Acapulco, I could issue some
I might have a business opportunity.
There's some money to be made. You could cover your cost of Acapulco in that case. So they're talking about domestic travel restrictions, and they've thrown out names of states like Florida and California, apparently, because there's quote-unquote variants of COVID-19. And according to one White House official speaking to McClatchyDC.com, quote, there are active conversations about what could help mitigate spread here, but we have to follow the data and what's going to work. Because, government has done so much that has worked. I don't know what when they say going
that
to
might be one of the funniest things you've ever said.
When they say going to work with what goal in mind? Is when they say going to work, do they mean restricting people's travel? Because we know the government can do that pretty well. They'll put armed men on whatever roads. Now, this actually brings up an interesting sort of implication as far as how they implement this.
Right.
The federal government doesn't run the state roads.
Nope.
The federal government funds, from what I understand, the interstate highway system. They don't even do the work on it, though, right? Isn't it the state governments that are hiring the contractors?
The government just gives the money to the states.
Right.
And they frequently will use that money as to strong arm the states into bending them to their will. So, for example, when the federal government wanted all of the states to have a 21 year of age drinking law back in the late 70s, early 80s, whenever that took place. Before that, there wasn't any drinking age over in this state, and drinking age was 18 over here, and drinking age was 19 over here. Some states were 21, some were, you know what I mean?
Were there states with no drinking age?
I believe there were, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, you I think in the South, I don't know, maybe Tennessee, Alabama, somewhere in there, where you hear, old folks tell tales about, yep, I sent little Johnny with, my $10 down to the store to pick me up a 6-pack of beer and some bait so we could fish, you know what I mean, off the back porch or whatever, that kind of a thing, man. Right? And so
get a Tommy gun while you're at it too.
The kid could just walk into the store and be like, yeah, I'm getting these beers for my dad and, blah, 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 and just bring it home and no big deal.
Bottle of heroin.
No big deal.
Everything. That's the way it ought to be, but it's not that way anymore. But the point is, you're making the federal government coerce the states with money. They said,
anybody who didn't comply with the 21 age, they said, okay, if you're not going to comply, we are going to rescind your highway money.
Mm-hmm. So would they do the same thing in this case? Let's say the federal government says, all right, we're locking down Florida. There's only one way in and out, right, as far as roads are concerned. So we're going to lock down all of the roads, the interstates, and all the state roads as well, because they don't control the state roads, but they've got the money that they can hold over the head of the state of Florida. Would they be able to say, all right, well, you either post state troopers at every road between Florida and Georgia and Alabama, and you stop people from coming in and going out, or else we're pulling all of the money. Because if Florida didn't go along with it, then the feds would have to post their own guards, right?
So I'm cherry picking from this other article of a different subject, but it's about the travel restrictions. And if this quote is true, I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
This is Governor DeSantis of Florida. He's, quote, Florida absolutely will not comply, DeSantis repeated. Instituting a travel ban or restriction of movement would be a gross example of federal overreach with no grounding in law or science. We have COVID-19 in check, and you're trying to exert unlawful authority over our state and its people.
Well, this is going to be interesting. The number is 603-283-6160. What do you think about domestic travel restrictions? That's what they're floating out there. They want to see what the reaction is
You're going to see how
be.
spineless all your governors are is what you're going to see.
Maybe so. Well, they're definitely spineless. We'll see how it goes. Your calls are welcome. It's Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Email is easy, instant, and free, and that can be real embarrassing. Email lacks the eye contact and body language you get in face-to-face conversation, or the tone of voice and other nuance you hear in a telephone conversation. Email is just words, often few words. We're all smothering in spam, so we often reply in terse fashion that's easy to misunderstand. And email doesn't cost you a postage stamp, and it lacks the deliberation time it'd take to walk to the snail mail box. So it's easy to succumb to the "oh yeah" stimulus response trap. When in doubt, don't snap back at snippy messages you get. You may have mistaken the sender's intent. And unless you're sending AOL to AOL, there's no unsend. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
is Free Talk Live, and the number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We also have a Matrix chat server. That's where Derek J. was.
It's true.
Earlier in the hour, and man, did he sound good. I mean, if you weren't watching the feed on our cam sites like twitch.freetalklive.com and dlive.freetalklive.com, if you weren't watching there, then you'd have thought he was sitting here in the studio. It sounded that good.
I nearly asked him like what kind of microphone he was using,
right?
Because I was like, wow, that sounds great.
Yeah, it sounded amazing, and you can sound that good too. Just join our Matrix server. You can go to chat.freetalklive.com and get the instructions. There's step-by-step instructions on how to join the server. There's some steps involved, but once you get on there, it's super easy to use. So head on over to chat.freetalklive.com, and we're going to go to your calls and thoughts. You can, of course, bring up anything you want. Now, we've definitely got more to say on these domestic travel restrictions, so that's still to come here. But again, open phones, as always, here on Free Talk Live. Let's go to them. Jerome is on the line in South Carolina. Jerome!
Hey, I'm watching something about the Constitution. Hey, after the day's what they had on television, yeah, that's what I need. I need to watch the Constitution, so I can see what a joke it is.
Oh, yeah. You remember when George Bush said it's just a GD piece of paper?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Hey, remember when Trump said the only good Democrat is a dead Democrat? Remember that?
No, I don't pay attention to
Hey, Jerome,
Remember that?
Jerome, if I can find it, I'm going to buy you a gift. And that gift is it's a roll of toilet paper, but it's got just the Constitution over and over and over again written on it. So
you cheapskate, a roll of toilet paper. What a cheapskate.
Hey, now, these Constitution toilet papers don't come cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't you remember a year ago when toilet paper was really difficult to come by?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember because I had to go to the store to try to find some.
That's right.
And alcohol, rubbing alcohol, too. And hand soap. And hand sanitizer, all of that stuff.
That's right.
So, Jerome, what exactly happened today? I heard something about Trump apparently got found not guilty in the Senate. Is that right?
Oh, what a surprise that was, huh?
No, honestly.
Good old.
I mean, didn't the Democrats have control of the Senate? I mean, so you'd have thought they would have voted to, impeach him.
I said nothing was going to happen whenever the impeachments. Both of them, I'm like, nothing's going to happen. It never does. They'll investigate themselves and find they did nothing wrong. That's how government works.
Goes, yeah.
No, they found something wrong. It's just that it's so doggone partisan. Hey, you know what? The Republican Party needs to change their name from Rhymes with to Rhymes with. The party that rhymes with,
Rhymes with
That's
what?
what they should change it. Rhymes with. From a W to the B's. That's what they should do.
I'm missing it. This one's going over my head.
Trump's bees.
This one's going over my head, Jerome. And Captain, you got a good sense of humor. You're not getting this one either.
I mean, I could have an off night.
That's what they are. No, that's what they are.
Is there a word hold on, Jerome?
Yes, dear. Yes, honey. Yes, dear. That's what they are, man. I mean, hey, didn't he say?
Wait a minute.
I could kill somebody and I could kill somebody.
That,
he still wouldn't lose any support.
Yeah, that's true. He did say that, I think.
Yeah. I could stand on the street corner and shoot someone, and I wouldn't lose any support.
Jerome, you know what? Let's move on because Trump's over, right? Like he's gone now. Okay, so he didn't get convicted. Let's move on. I'm curious what you think. You're down there. You're not in Florida, but they didn't say Florida specifically with these domestic travel restrictions. So, what do you think about the idea of domestic travel restrictions?
Let me put it this way. I used to be in the Air Force. I was in for like 9 years. I used to fly all the time. You're not getting me on any airplane right now.
Really?
Sorry.
Well, now wait. With these,
I take the bus. That's it. No,
okay, but wait a minute.
Not getting up in the air.
Domestic travel restrictions don't just mean airlines.
It's true.
It's got something to do with the virus, man. What do you expect? I mean, we got a hard time. How many people? Over 400,000 people have died from this thing in this country alone?
Am I supposed to extrapolate from what you just said that you would support domestic travel restrictions, meaning troops at the border?
Yeah, I want travel restrictions.
Oh my God!
We can't allow this thing to get any.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, slow down. All right, I want you to think about it. Follow me on this one, Jerome. Okay, so you want domestic travel restrictions, troops at the border. Now, what is that going to do to the trucking industry, the logistics business?
We're talking the border of your state.
Yeah,
not
we're talking the border of your state.
International borders. We're talking about the border of your state to another state.
Yeah, you were clear on that, right? So there would be restrictions between South Carolina and North Carolina and whatever the hell south, was it Georgia, south of South Carolina?
And what's west of it?
Yeah, so...
we got to check. We have to check everything, man. We can't take any more chances.
Now, wait, when you say check
everything, it's gotten too far to control as it is.
Okay, tell me about what do you think the controls will look like, and how far are you willing to let them go? Are you talking about just checking people that are coming into the border, or telling them they can't even come in at all?
Hey, don't we have border security? That's how it's got to be done. That's a border security.
But
That's
what's that going to look like? So you're talking about stopping everyone, and then saying, "Show us your test," or you can't come in? What are you saying?
I don't really know about that. I don't know how strict it would be. But look, we have to put in some kind of control so things don't get any. I mean, look.
Oh no, things won't get worse if you lock the borders.
We can.
You know what that's going to do to the price of things, Jerome? It's going to, already the price of things is going up because the federal government has been and will continue under Biden printing up trillions of dollars. So the prices of goods are going to go up because of that. And now what's going to happen if they're telling people, even if it's just a restriction at the border, not a total lockdown, but we got to check everybody's papers, which is, of course, terrifying and horrible. But that would also increase the cost of everything because now it's going to take longer for everybody to get through the border, and time is money. Time is money.
Checking is better than a total lockdown, okay? It's not just nobody can come through. That's not it.
Okay, so you're not okay with the total lockdown.
You have to have some kind of checks.
So now we've got checkpoints everywhere.
And papers. Papers, please. So people will have to check.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the papers.
Well, how are they going to check? You didn't think about that, huh?
No, I don't know about that.
Well, the only way they can check is to get invasive, is to get into your business and to tell you what you got to have and where you got to be coming from and where you got to be going. And then there's going to be all kinds of questions.
I don't think it's going to go that
and then they're going to search your car because you're black, and then they're going to do all kinds of stuff, Jerome.
Well,
you know where this goes.
They're already doing that.
Yeah, well, now they're going to do it more. And now they're going to say they get to do it because, you didn't have your COVID paperwork.
I don't know if it's going to ever be that extreme.
Well, maybe it's not.
You
I hope
have
it's not.
Some kind of check.
I hope this is just idle talk, but they're talking about it. So
there's discussions.
Well, they haven't done it yet.
No,
it's going to be almost impossible to do.
It will be difficult. There's no doubt because there's got to be a lot of roads between Georgia and South Carolina.
Of course there is.
Yeah. Jerome, thanks for the call tonight, man. I definitely appreciate hearing from you. Let's talk to Pat in Michigan. Pat, listening to WZTK. Go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Welcome,
Thank you for taking my
Pat.
call. You were talking earlier about being 4,000 deviations of the COVID
I don't know.
virus.
Somebody said that somewhere.
But there was an
whatever you wanna
article.
call it.
Yeah, there was an article about it that claimed that there are as many as 4,000.
I have it on very good authority that by the end of March last year, there were over 500.
Mm.
And if you want to roll this back speculatively, that it started in September at a
of 2019
military Olympic event by China in a lake behind Wuhan. All right, this thing jumped the dam, and so anyway, this all ties back into. It's manipulated many times. It's probably well over the 4,000 you're speculating on, or that they're speculating on.
I mean, they can't even test this. The tests that they're running on this PCR test, again, we mentioned these doctors that came up here, and they told us about these people. We'd already heard about the PCR test from a couple of our co-hosts, but, when you hear it from a doctor, okay, it's probably true, where they are saying that the revolutions or the number of times that they run this cycle, I think it's cycles or what they call it, this test, is a certain, mandated number by the federal government, which that number has been reduced now that Biden's in office. And that number results in a large number of false positives. Go ahead, Pat.
I'd like to touch on the test, too, if I might, especially the nasal swab. You remember the old Dr. Seuss book, Horton Hears a Who?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Where the whole world lived in a little dust speck on the top of this flower, and only the elephant could hear it because his ears were so big?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
There was a whole world inside a little pollen grain, all right? And that's what they have developed here. there are little microchips in these nasal swabs. There's a
Now that's an interesting theory. I don't know if there's any evidence for it, but that is an interesting theory that they could be implanting something with these. Now I wouldn't go so far as to make that claim.
Well, the vaccine itself is a programmable thing, but
RNA, the mRNA.
the mRNA, yeah.
Thank you, Pat, for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The number here is 603-283-6160. Either way, I don't want that thing going in my nose. I'm not interested in that invasion. More coming up here. This is Free Talk Live. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
He's off the hook again. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Former President Trump is acquitted in the Senate trial where he was accused of inciting last month's riot on Capitol Hill.
A 57-43 vote acquitted former President Trump on a single article of impeachment, 10 shy of the two-thirds majority needed to convict. Still, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says a message was sent.
While justice was not done in this trial, it will be carried forward by the American people.
7 Republicans voted guilty, the most impeachment defections ever from a president's party. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell voted not guilty, explaining,
in this case, the question is moot because former President Trump is constitutionally not eligible for conviction.
But McConnell said Trump is practically and morally responsible for the events of January 6th.
Fox's Jared Halpern. President Biden has not spoken publicly since today's acquittal, but the White House is expected to release a statement.
You can imagine what this has been like for this administration ever since they came into office back on January 20th. They've been facing a lot of questions about what they would like to see happen with impeachment. The president would be asked questions repeatedly as he would meet with lawmakers, as he would hold events here at the White House. He even stopped to talk a little bit yesterday in which he said he was anxious to see what Republican senators were going to do. We were also really curious earlier today when there was that back and forth about potentially introducing witnesses, what that would mean for the administration as they try to get that $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill through Congress.
Fox's Mark Meredith. And the California Republican Party says it's giving $125,000 to the campaign to recall Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. Organizers say they've collected more than the required 1.5 million signatures so far, but some of those could be disqualified for various reasons. America is listening to Fox News.
Join over 24,000 of some of the fastest growing companies in the world who rely on NetSuite. Just ask Sean Nelson, founder of Lovesac.
We started as a beanbag company in my parents' basement. And the next thing I knew, we were one of the fastest growing furniture companies in the world. Only problem? We still had multiple systems for everything.
NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more.
Lovesac furniture is built to last and infinitely adaptable, just like NetSuite.
Find out how NetSuite can help your company with a free product tour at netsuite.com/relax.
A man who co-founded the anti-Trump group, the Lincoln Project, has resigned. The resignation comes amid a slew of sexual harassment allegations against a board member. Fox's Jillian Turner reports.
6 former employees of the Lincoln Project are calling on the group to waive non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs. Writing in a letter to the New York Times, they have information, quote, that would aid the press, public, and our donors in answering questions relevant to the public interest. The Lincoln Project's leaders have long been fiercely critical of former President Trump's NDAs. This comes fresh on the heels of the scandal surrounding John Weaver, a co-founder who's been accused of sexually harassing young men. The AP reports that last June, the organization's leadership was informed of at least 10 allegations against Weaver, 2 of them claims involving employees.
Co-founder Steve Schmidt says he's leaving to make room for a female board member as a first step to reform the group. A personal shopper for actor Kevin Hart's accused of spending more than $1 million of the actor's money on unauthorized purchases.
29-year-old Dylan Sire is charged with grand larceny, criminal possession of stolen property, identity theft, and scheme to defraud in the first degree. Queens County District Attorney Melinda Katz announced this week. According to Katz's office, Sire first met Hart in 2015. Prior to his arrest, Sire was contracted several times to be Hart's personal shopper. Sire is accused of using about $923,000 on Hart's credit cards, on top of spending $240,000 of the
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Sunfest is on the line in California.
Yeah, the greatest danger is that they're destroying the sun and the earth.
Whoa. Slow down, Sunfest. Slow down. Who is destroying the sun?
The economy. Everything that's happening is a job hunt. It's a job tax.
What are you talking about?
Definitely. The sun is waning, the water is rising, and we need the sun to dry it. When you have an economy that's creating jobs on a war scale, 24 hours a day, the cosmos can't keep up with it, let alone the sun. There's dark Andromeda, which is hurling at us. If you're not informed, you can go out and get the information.
That's our name tonight.
Stop your sexist attack on women, whereas you hear anything
you
that
are
the men
so
have to say.
Outrageous. Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It's really not creepy to have little kids mindlessly recite this anthem every day and pledge their life to a government before they're old enough to really think about what they're saying. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is really the greatest country in the whole world. All the other countries suck. And if this country ever goes to war, as it often wants to do, I promise to help go and kill all the other countries' kids. God bless GE. God bless Citigroup. Amen.
Very good, kids. Now come and get your Ritalin.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour of this live Saturday episode of the program. The phones are open as always, should you wish to join us. It's 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio with you tonight, it's Ian.
And the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass.
They are floating domestic travel restrictions. Now, what is that going to actually mean if they move forward with it? Will it just be on airplanes? Will it be as you're driving?
And of course, my question will be, how will it affect the political people?
What do you mean?
Well, so generally these politicians, when they make these things up, they do so by some sort of executive order.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they exempt themselves in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, there'll be a special lane just for the politicians to drive through.
Or, oh, it's Air Force One, you go right ahead. Or, oh, it's the governor from blah, 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 and he's on his way to this side or the other. Oh, it's fine.
Sir, you can skip the line.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go to Florida and, party on the beach? Sure. No problem for you.
Yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, that's like, if it happens, there's definitely going to be carve-outs for them and their buddies as well.
I say this I say this frequently, and I don't think I can say it enough, but not one person employed by government has lost a paycheck.
You know what they're going to do
over the COVID thing.
They're going to put the TSA in charge.
Oh, of course. And you know what else they're going to do? What a great excuse for actually militarizing, right? The final
TSA?
That and the final, like putting the military around cities and around borders and stuff. Actual martial law.
But you see, the TSA is how they get around that. Because people might still get upset. Maybe they wouldn't at this point, but they might still get upset if the military were actually in the streets like this. So that's why they'll just give the TSA guns and then,
Either way, it works. I've been saying for a long time that the TSA is just 1 degree away from the brown shirts. All they got to do is go, oh, we better give those guys guns.
Yeah. Well, they've been wanting to have real badges for a long time.
Abracadabra, all the peanut butter sandwiches, Shazam, whatever term you'd like to use.
The TSA has been wanting to be like real cops for a long time. They wanted to get real badges and everything. So if you want to weigh in here, your thoughts on travel restrictions, that's what's being proposed. They're floating it out there. They want to see what the response is going to be. And honestly, I want to see it too. I want to see what people have to say about this, because so far it seems like Americans will put up with anything that is shoveled down their throat by these governments.
Please just keep me safe from this invisible thing that I have a 99% chance of recovering from.
Roadblocks, federal roadblocks, checkpoints. Remember, they've been getting people ready for this for a long time. We've been covering the internal Border Patrol checkpoints for years here on Free Talk Live. We have, I don't know if you have, Captain, but some of our hosts have actually been stopped at these internal border
Isn't it like a
checkpoints.
20-mile radius?
It's 100.
100 miles?
Yeah, 100 miles from the border. They can set up these. They can set up these, and some of them are roving, and some of them are permanent installations. A lot of them are in the southern portions of the United States, but there are some in the north. There was one here in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
and it seems to come back every summertime.
Yep.
And in fact, they have it about an hour or so south of where we have
the winter
Forkfest.
too cold for them?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. We talked to Tom he's in Georgia, but he's listening to our station in Tallahassee, WVFT FM. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, I think the governor of Florida is a hero, even when they first started the so-called lockdown mess. Nobody really was bothering anyone. I haven't seen any police mess with anybody.
Well, you're not paying attention. I mean, if maybe it's that way in Georgia, but I doubt it. Like in Florida, the cops are messing with people constantly, and I suspect that's true in Georgia as well. I mean, what do you mean when you haven't seen police messing with anybody?
Harassing people for not obeying curfews.
Are there curfews in Georgia?
For not wearing a mask.
Now, hold on a second. Where are you calling from?
Thomasville, Georgia.
Okay.
I live 15 miles from the Florida line.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I go to Florida every day and have a couple of cups of coffee.
Are you going to go to Florida if you have to pass through a federal-operated TSA-run checkpoint to go get your coffee?
Hopefully, there's still enough people with cojones that will.
You're listening to yourself on the radio, man. It's going to confuse the hell out of you.
Yeah, you got to turn your radio down,
bro. You can't do that.
Okay.
Is the coffee that bad in Thomasville that you have to drive all the way?
Or is that good in Florida? What do they put in the coffee in Florida?
It's a nice ride. It's beautiful. Take the 4-lane road down there and then drive the Canopy Road
That sounds lovely. Thank you, Tom. I do appreciate hearing from you, man. 603-283-6160. Are you going to start crossing the board? Because there's a lot of people that, like, for instance, here in New Hampshire, there's a ton of people that come up and shop in New Hampshire.
The New England states it's people coming and going. I see plates from Massachusetts, Vermont,
New York
even. All the time. It's frequent. And the New England states aren't as big as some of the other states in the United States.
No, that's true.
Like there's a lot of, cross.
But it doesn't matter. If you live near the border of any state, there's in some places there's some real good reasons to go across the border to get a thing, right? So like in New Hampshire, for instance, we got fireworks, man. If you live in Massachusetts,
well, apparently the booze is cheaper here too.
That's true as well. And I think you can get flavored cigarettes or flavored vape juice or something like that. Here in New Hampshire. So if you want some vice, you come up to New Hampshire, except for the weed. For whatever reason, the New Hampshire legislature just still isn't with it.
It's a pet peeve of mine here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, things aren't perfect here. That's why we've got libertarians who are migrating here. And
however, I can drive an hour to another state if I so choose to, get what I need legally.
Or you can just get it on the dark web and then, no big deal. But, how many people are going to want to make that trip if they have to go through the TSA just to go and get a cup of coffee in the morning? That's going to reduce it may be good coffee, but if you got to go through a pat down or a throat swab or whatever the hell it is they're going to put you through, demand your ID, make you wait for an hour.
I was just wondering if the coffee's like infused in Florida.
I don't think so. It's Florida. They don't much take to the whole cannabis thing down in Florida.
Really?
I don't think they've legalized it down there. I think they've got a medical program now in Florida, but it's been 15 years since I've been there. 603-283-6160 is the number, but that's going to stop some people, and maybe that's not on the table. Again, they're being very vague about what they're saying with regard to what this is going to mean. They're just saying they're having quote-unquote active conversations about what could help mitigate spread, says one White House official. They said, we're having conversations about anything that would help mitigate spread.
Yeah, to be fair, we are speculating on what travel restrictions might look like. We don't know what their discussions are. We're not privy to that. Of course, when it comes to government, I imagine the worst case scenario. So I imagine military on the streets. I imagine anywhere there's a state border, there's going to be some sort of a checkpoint going on. It'll be really interesting for the western side of New Hampshire, too, because the main freeway isn't in New Hampshire. It's actually in Vermont, so you have to cross over into another state to get on the freeway to go north and south for most of the state, and then back over to get back into New Hampshire anytime you want to travel that direction.
There's problems there. There's some really scary quotes here. So this is the White House official, quote, "No decisions have been made, but we certainly are having conversations across government," he said, pointing to current guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, encouraging Americans to stay home and only travel for essential reasons. Quote, "This is a war, and we're at battle with the virus. War is messy and unpredictable, and all options are on the table."
Why? A virus is not a warlike enemy.
But look, this was also what Trump said. Trump said this is the war.
They've all said it.
He called it the invisible enemy.
Yeah, it's the new hobgoblin, the new boogeyman.
And that's what they're going to use. Remember the war on terror? That's what they used to take away a lot of your freedoms back in 2001.
To keep you in fear.
With the so-called Patriot Act. Remember, that created the TSA.
That's right.
603-283-6160. If you want to weigh in here, you can, of course, take control of the airwaves. Share your thoughts with whatever's on your mind. This is Free Talk Live. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. You ready for some domestic travel restrictions? Oh, they got them cooking.
I mean, are we talking like BDSM style?
Don't give them any ideas, Captain. I mean, they're already trying to shove things down people's
I've been giving them
throats.
ideas all night. Like, oh, it'd be real easy for them to roll out the military in these locations. And it'd be really easy to arm the TSA. And, I mean.
Look, they're saying there's no option that has been taken off the table. Quote, war is messy and unpredictable, and all options are on the table, said one of the government officials.
All options.
Yeah, with the White House, speaking to McClatchydC.com, talking about domestic travel restrictions. Now, again, none of this has been announced, but he's saying they're talking about it. He says this is a war, and we're at battle with the virus. And you know what they do when wars happen? They take away more of your freedoms.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens.
Every time in all of history.
Yeah, and people get killed in service of the state.
Oh, and you know what else? While I'm giving them ideas, if they do want to use the TSA as this sort of expanded force to do these travel restrictions, why, that'd be a good place to employ all the people who are recently unemployed because of the government's lockdowns.
You know what? I want to just add something in here, and this is, there is a bright light out there at the end of the tunnel. It's actually pretty bright right now. It's Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's been so much terrible news over the last year since 2020 with the crazy coronavirus crackdown, restrictions, lockdowns, all this stuff. But Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general have been going up, up, up. It's been something worth looking at. And if you haven't taken the time to learn the basics, you really need to.
What's the Ron Paul? It's happening!
It is happening. Well, I mean, it's been happening. Now it's happening even more. Bitcoin.com is where you can go to get started. Click that at the top of the page and just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, watch at least one of those videos. Watch the first one at least. And then if you get time, dig a little deeper. Maybe you'll want to at that point, but at least then you'll know the basics about what is Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin Cash, what are some of these cryptocurrencies out there, what's it all about. Bitcoin.com can help you with that. If you're not new to crypto, then you can use their news site over at news.bitcoin.com. Plus, there's all kinds of useful features at bitcoin.com, so check them out. As we continue here, we're going to an old man in Florida. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I heard you talking about Florida and the supposedly travel restrictions.
Yeah.
DeSantis is not going to let him do anything stupid like that.
Oh yeah.
But we're having problems down here. The city down in Miami and
hold on before you go on to Miami. I'm just curious, old man in Florida. I'm curious. When you say DeSantis isn't going to let him, okay. So let's say the federal government says we're going to put the TSA in between Florida and Georgia and Alabama. We're going to take every road and put TSA checkpoints in there and stop every car. What's DeSantis going to do?
Yeah, run it right to the Supreme Court and declare it unconstitutional. And
what if they do it anyway?
Well, so there's some argument about that.
They're going to have a fight on their hands is what they're going to have.
You think the
Florida relies on tourism. Without tourism, it'll be a dead zone.
So you think DeSantis would go that far? You think he would actually fight the federal government?
Okay. He will. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So what were you going to say about Miami?
The mayor of Miami is up in the White House right now. He's a liberal Democrat down there. He's a traitor. He thinks he's in Cuba. He's running it like Castro. He's out there. He wants to put masks. He wants to do all this stuff. And he wants to fine people. But Governor DeSantis put a stop to that. And the mayor of Tampa too. She tried to run a mask mandate through and fine people, but that got shot down by DeSantis too. But Senator Rubio, we got another problem down here. He just introduced two new bills. Federal bills, SB 292, which is a giant new red flag law, and the Terrorism Intelligence Act of 2017 he just brought back, which is another. Basically, it would if they suspect you of something, you will not be buying a firearm. They'll pull you.
And who the hell was this? This was a guy from Florida.
They put flight restrictions on people. Who did that with firearms?
Old man, who did this?
Need to be
Hello. Hello? Old man, who was it that put these restrictions in?
Go ahead, come back.
Who was it? You said somebody put in a restriction on firearms in D.C.?
There's two federal bills that Senator Rubio, the Cuban ice cream man down here.
Isn't that a Republican? Is that a Republican?
Problems with that is not, and is actually one of those rhino people.
Oh, okay.
He just introduced two nasty federal bills.
I see. What's it going to take for Florida to secede from the United States?
I'd go for it.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we're on board together with that one. Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. 603-283-6160. That's what needs to get floated out there. They're floating out domestic travel restrictions because, remember, when we had Mark on the show, he's on vacation, like an extended vacation, but, he would say that, he doesn't support secession because he wants to be able to travel from one state to the next. Well, if they go ahead and put domestic travel restrictions in place, well, that objection's off. Yeah. It's off the radar.
Well, you already can't if you want to travel unmasked.
You already can't.
Like, if you want to travel, fly unmasked, you can't, right?
Yeah. So, I was going to say, I drove across the country without a mask.
Right, but you didn't fly without the mask, right? So, I mean, there's already some of that. It's a closing environment.
It is a restriction.
Right? It's a restriction. And it's just going to grow. They always want more for themselves. Right. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I will say, to this guy's point, that, at least according to one website, Governor DeSantis seems to be opposed to all of this as far as the travel restrictions and that type of thing. He supposedly, I haven't been able to get any corroboration from this, but according to a website, Governor DeSantis has told Biden to go F himself.
Great.
In response to some of these conversations that have been
He ought to say,
mentioned.
we're leaving, goodbye, secession now. But, it's a start.
Well, so citing concerns over widespread proliferation of COVID-19 variants, Biden said he might have to prohibit vehicle and air traffic until the CDC and the NIH were confident that currently available vaccinations had a proven efficacy against emerging strains.
Biden actually said that?
Well,
because in this story, they're saying they're just talking about it. No option's been off the table. Biden actually said we might have to restrict car traffic?
I'll go on.
Wow.
Hopefully your question will be answered.
Okay.
Such a highly transmissible, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
It said
he said a
Biden
bunch of
said.
stuff.
The paragraph above.
It did. It absolutely said that.
Wow. 603-283-6160.
Also on the call, this is a conference call that happened, supposedly.
okay.
Somebody was privy to. Also on the call was Dr. Fauci and acting CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, both of whom championed Biden's idea and told DeSantis that surging cases in Florida threatened to undermine the federal government's expansive efforts to mitigate spread across
So if you don't do
Florida.
what we say, if you don't put in the, checkpoints yourself or whatever, if you don't put in the restrictions we demand, then we're going to lock down your state.
Walensky
That's what they're saying.
Argued on the call that any attempt by DeSantis to resist a federally mandated travel ban would be immoral, selfish, and possibly illegal.
Oh, okay.
Biden echoed her words, and he berated DeSantis for having left Florida's economy open during the dark days of COVID. Moreover, Biden claimed he had unilateral and constitutional authority.
Where is this being reported?
This is realrawnews.com.
Okay. Doesn't sound like the best source, but
no, and
it's interesting.
I'm looking for corroboration.
Yeah, that's interesting. 603-283-6160. What would be great is if there was actually audio or video of this meeting. That would be incredible. More coming up here, and this is, of course, terrifying and awful. Secession now.
Yes,
it's Free
please.
Talk Live.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday show. As always, phones are open for you at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160.
Yeah, listen up, everybody. We know you're not at like a concert or anything, so pay attention. You're not going to see a theatrical production, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So listen up.
There are fewer breads and circuses out there for people to distract themselves.
You're not at a
with
football
now.
game, that's for sure. You're not watching, you're not at a gathering. You're not at a family reunion, so listen up.
If you want to weigh in on the proposal of what they're apparently talking about, according to not real raw news, but according to major mainstream publication news provider, quote unquote news provider McClatchy DC, the Biden administration is talking about domestic travel restrictions. Now, you found a story, Captain Kickass.
It's a fun story,
and it is a story, all right. And I want it to be true. I really
do want to believe
that where Governor DeSantis down there in Florida tells Biden to go F yourself, allegedly. And there's more to the alleged conversation that you wanted to share here. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
I want to believe this. We are trying to verify this story, and there is just nothing. You tried earlier today.
I've been looking since I discovered this story. I was like, and I've been looking. I've contacted folks in Florida, at least 2 people anyway. And my reach is pretty limited when it comes to contacting people.
Calling somebody in Florida isn't going to shed any light.
Hey, do you know anything about this?
There's 20 million people down there.
But the gist is that there was some sort of a conference call.
Yeah.
And somebody was privy to that, because these things happen all the time, right?
Yeah.
They have,
there's multiple people on the line.
It's like you and I have conversations on the air when we do this show, but our conversations when we're not on the air are a little bit different, right?
That's true.
We use different words and things like I cuss a lot when I'm not on the air, for example. So, these things occur. And so it wouldn't strike me as implausible for something like this to go down.
Right.
It's just there is a distinct lack of evidence. Now, since this morning when this article came out.
At realrawnews.com.
Yeah, there have been a couple of websites who have said, well, there's no evidence, so it's debunked.
So therefore it's false. Well, that's not necessarily true.
I mean, just because there's no evidence doesn't mean it's false. It means that we don't have any evidence yet.
That's all. It's just in question.
Right. So I have yet to find corroboration. However, the website itself has updated. I believe if you scroll down, can you just read that update?
The website update at the very end says, we're aware the various so-called fact-checking agencies are disputing our account of the telephone call, claiming the governor's office has denied the event happened, which is likely that's something that they would do, right? Those so-called fact-checking parties are run by the Democratic deep state. Real Raw News stands by our story and its source, and we would love to see DeSantis comment on it personally. Now, this is a hard right sounding kind of website, by the way.
Certainly.
If you look at like the other stories,
but just look at the ads that they have on the website. You could tell it's like,
I don't have the ads turned
guns
on.
And I mean, it's all
but just looking
right-wing stuff.
at this other story here, one of the other stories is diseased caravan of illegals enters United States. So obviously these people have a hardcore right-wing bias to call just a group of people that want to come here diseased and illegals. So, I mean, I don't agree with their political viewpoint necessarily, but if what they're saying here is true, then that's great news. We'll tell you more about the conversation coming up here, but let's go to Jet. He's on the line in Nevada.
Ooh.
Jet, you're on with Ian and Captain Kickass on Free Talk Live.
Yeah. Well, I'll weigh in on that, telling people to go F yourself, even though I'm a dedicated disciple of Christ. But the reason we should do that, and everyone needs to learn that, is because they're just other people.
Right.
And that's been my mantra here for a while now, that people with titles are just other people who have no more right to do anything than anybody else. So
no doubt. But the difference is these guys have people who will do everything they say. They've got men with guns who, at their beck and call, will do anything they want them to. Those TSA agents will line themselves up along that border, and if they have to, they'll shoot it out with the Florida state troopers or whatever. I mean, these are just people, but they're also people who are delusional, and they believe in this thing called the state. And the state is a mass, evil, delusional religion.
Here's the trick. Here's just how to nullify, negotiate. What would you say? Neutralize the state, and that's stop using their terminologies. In other words, stop using titles for people like governor and president and this kind of thing. But because it's just something they gave themselves essentially.
Yeah, that's true.
And why can't I hear you guys so well on this end?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know what the problem might be there. I apologize about that.
Okay. I guess you can hear me okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
But yeah, like when you're talking about police, start using more or closer to their real names. Or you can say Mr. if you want to, but I don't even call anybody sir. I mean, I just work very hard in eliminating every title I can from
yeah, whenever I'm in court, I never refer to the man in the robe as Your Honor. Never done it. I've never done it.
What about police? I hear they get upset, the police do, if you don't refer to them as officer.
Too bad for them. Just make sure you're recording video.
Yeah. Well, that'd be kind of fun. You could say, "Okay, boss," or something. Whatever you say, master.
They might like that.
You can get creative, switch it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. You just have to stop using the terminology of the state in order to make the state go away, because it all starts in your mind. Once you get your mind clear of this, you really can't go back. I mean, I have not seen how anybody can go back after they have left the state, so to speak.
Yeah.
But can you say what Gene is no longer with, why he is no longer with us?
I can't. I know that he allegedly came down with COVID, but I don't know if that's what, did him in.
Okay.
So he was in the hospital for some amount of weeks. He was posting.
That's a tough one.
You're talking about Gene the Christian Anarchist, by the way, for listeners that didn't know who you were referring to. But he was in our Matrix chat server, and he was posting from his hospital bed for early on.
Yep.
And then he stopped posting to that room, and eventually, apparently, Mark, our co-host, was somehow able to reach his wife and was able to confirm that he has passed away. So it's not clear as to the reason for that. He was, I believe, 70 years old.
Okay. Just to kind of share this, you can call me a Christian monarchist, because I believe there's only one power and authority, and of course that's the creator of all things. So I just wanted to remind you guys
Thanks,
to start
Jet. I
eliminating.
appreciate that, man. It is an important
titles.
reminder. There's no doubt about it. And I appreciate hearing from you.
It's been a while since we heard from Jed, yeah?
Maybe a few weeks. 603-283-6160 is the number here. So you have more from that the alleged conversation between whatever DeSantis, I don't even know what his name is. He's the, again, quote-unquote governor.
Ron DeSantis. Yeah.
Ron DeSantis there in Florida, and Joe Biden on a conference call. What else did they say?
So it's Biden, DeSantis, and Rochelle Walensky, the CDC director. Walensky argued on the call that any attempt by DeSantis to resist a federally mandated travel ban would be immoral, selfish, possibly illegal. Biden echoed her words, berated DeSantis for having left Florida's economy open during the dark days of COVID. Moreover, Biden claimed he had unilateral and constitutional authority to protect the nation's health from rogue politicians acting in contravention of established health guidelines. DeSantis' initial reply was brief and blunt. "I will not comply," he said, and then cited the CDC's own statistics showing a nationwide decline in active COVID-19 cases. Florida
Which has to do with the testing thing that we talked about earlier with these PCR tests where they turned down the number of cycles when Biden got put in office.
Right. Florida had arrested the spread of COVID-19, DeSantis argued, and accused Biden of targeting Republican states that supported Donald Trump. Florida absolutely will not comply, he repeated. Instituting a travel ban or restriction of movement would be a gross example of federal overreach with no grounding in law or science.
But there's more.
There is.
And it's worth talking about.
Yes, we'll get to it.
We'll give you the real juicy part coming up here. 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agris Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agrishosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agrishosting.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. It's the Saturday edition. We're here live, as we always are.
We'll do it live.
Indeed. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. And we'll tell you more about this alleged conversation between Joe Biden and Rick DeSantis, who some people call the governor of Florida.
DeSantis?
Oh, Ron, whatever. Yeah. He's probably, they're probably all a bunch of a-holes.
And somebody from the CDC, Rochelle.
And control freaks. And, I'm glad that this Florida guy isn't as bad of a control freak as some of the other control freaks. But, he is too, right? I mean, you don't get to be the governor of a state unless you're a sick control freak. But nonetheless, they apparently were having a little spat on the phone together, and you've got the alleged conversation, at least the text version of it, Captain. We'll share some of the rest of this very interesting story. Your calls, of course, are also welcome. And if you're a liberty-minded person, if you're an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, you should be over at liberty.menu. It's a website that allows you to list a business that you might have, digital content that you might be the creator of, or an event that you might be helping sponsor or organize. If you want other libertarians, voluntarists, liberty-loving anarchists to know about it, liberty.menu is that place you can go to promote it. And it's free to use, so why not? Unless you want to stay in the closet about loving freedom, you should get over to liberty.menu. That's liberty.menu. You can use code FTL, and that'll get you a special Free Talk Live listener badge. We can't give you a discount because it's a free site. So liberty.menu. Ian and the Captain here. We go to your calls and thoughts. First up, Don is listening to WVFT in Tallahassee. Don, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you.
Yes.
I first heard this, I guess it's been about a week, but, it seems like every day runs together for me. And the very first words, because I wrote them down verbatim that came out of Governor DeSantis' mouth, and I didn't know how to tweet it out because I had to get my kids to help me with my Twitter. And so I just remembered his reply was not on my watch. And I texted that. That's the only thing I could use to send to all my people was, guess what the governor said, And I've got a whole lot of respect. I know, there's a tendency for libertarians to just kind of, be against any pushback from one, government to the other. But, this is in
Why
line
would a
with
libertarian
our
be against
Constitution. This is not-
governments pushing against each other? I mean, I don't see why that's a problem. If government gangs are fighting each other, that's less time that they have to actually fight the individuals who are...
I prefer it. In fact, I prefer politicians to fight other politicians to solve their problems rather than, conscript people and send them to die.
I'd like to see them in a ring with blades, kind of like, like a cockfight, where you put the blades on the
it's a cage match.
Yeah.
Well, I think what he was doing, this is the gist of it, my understanding was he was pretty much saying, the federal government does not have the authority to do this, and pretty much like what the captain was reading, I think he was one that was reading that, was talking about, it doesn't follow science, and it doesn't do this, and he was pretty much saying, your own CDC, first they tell you to wear a mask, and they tell you don't wear a mask, and then they tell you back, maybe now we're talking about wearing 2 masks. And I just think it's ridiculous. I really do. And so I think our governor was taking, the citizens' position like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to comply. And I just remember the words that I first heard was, not on my watch. And I like that. I really appreciate that because he was expressing, at least my feelings on this.
Yeah. Well, when a government gang member gets something right, they should be praised. If, like, for instance, when the police go after an actual criminal, hey, I'll be like, hey, I appreciate you doing that. Thanks for actually taking a real criminal off the streets instead of actually going after like a college student for having an open container of alcohol or, a bag of marijuana or something. Right. Thank you, Don, for the call tonight. I appreciate it.
Or, pardoning somebody that actually deserves it.
Right.
That kind of a thing.
Yeah. That should happen more often, but it doesn't because, again, these people are barely human beings and they don't have any actual, concern for freedom in most cases. Now, again, DeSantis in Florida is making it seem like he cares about some freedoms, and good for him. I mean, I can't say that that's a bad thing. But again, Florida is by no means a free place. There's all kinds of regulations and bureaucracy and taxes. And
it could be that, like most politicians, this will make him a bit more popular amongst the constituents.
Mm-hmm. So he can get reelected.
That's right.
Yeah.
So...
Well, look, if it results in Florida seceding from the United States, then I say right on. And then that's something that I can get behind. Like, it's hard to get behind politicians on almost anything, but if there's somebody who's saying let's secede from the United States, all right, I don't care who you are.
To the caller's point, though, I think it is rare that we hear about this sort of intergovernmental, spats, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure they happen far more frequently than they, sort of behind the scenes, out of the public eye.
Well, they're people. I mean, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Do you want to share the remainder of this conversation, Captain? This is, again, between, was it Ron DeSantis in Florida, the so-called governor, and then the so-called President Biden.
That is correct. And also there's a Rochelle, somebody or other from the CDC on the call. Mm-hmm. DeSantis said that, the Dr. Fauci had just got done telling DeSantis that he expects the prevalence of the UK variant to double or triple every week to 10 days. And says, Governor, do you want to be responsible for reinfecting the nation? Truth is, we don't even know how effective current vaccines are against the UK strain.
Now, who said this?
That was Fauci.
Biden person?
That was Fauci
okay.
saying this. DeSantis told Dr. Fauci he trusted his own state health authorities over financially incentivized federal officials. How much do you stand to earn from these vaccines, Dr. Fauci?
No way.
And Joe, if you continue, he said, Joe, if you continue with this course of action, I will authorize the state National Guard to protect movement of Floridians.
Ooh, okay.
So a couple of things in that,
to be true.
Couple of things in that paragraph. One, Dr. Fauci, it's been publicized that he somehow owns some patents related to the vaccines and stands to possibly make some money off of the vaccines. I've read that, and also referring to the president as Joe, which is, it's something that probably politicians do. But Joe replied with, address me as Mr. President or President Biden, Biden said.
Now, that's believable.
Yes.
And this isn't satire, right? If this is not true, it's just straight up, political fantasy.
Right.
Is what this is.
Some guy writing fiction.
Yeah.
But we don't know, right? Nobody has come out and presented
They're doubling
evidence.
Down. The site's claiming this is true.
Right. So Biden says, address me as Mr. President or President Biden. DeSantis says, quote, I will not, and you can go F yourself before hanging up.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he rage quit the call.
And apparently some media is claiming that DeSantis's bureaucracy is claiming this is not true, right? Claiming that this did not happen, this call didn't happen, or something like that. But
I mean, I could see them denying any knowledge of it.
Right.
In closing, it seems obvious that Team Biden favors perpetual lockdowns and a stagnant economy, keeping Americans imprisoned under a de facto state of medical martial law.
Well, right. So. And as what sparked this whole conversation was that the Biden administration is talking about restrictions, domestic travel restrictions.
Very much so.
And it's not clear what that's going to mean, and they're being purposefully vague about it, while at the same time basically saying nothing has been taken off the table. So it's not like they're only talking about airline restrictions.
Right.
Which already there are airline restrictions imposed by the airlines themselves.
Right.
No decisions have been made. This is according to a White House official. Now, this is from McClatchydC.com. It's a major news source. So they talked to somebody at the White House, and that person said, but we're certainly having conversations across government. This is a war, and we're at battle with the virus. War is messy and unpredictable. That means, translation to messy and unpredictable, that means we're going to destroy more of your freedoms.
Right, yeah.
And the thing is, you usually don't get them back. Okay, so it's not like it's like, oh, temporarily we're just going to destroy these freedoms. No, they destroy your freedoms and they're gone.
If you, as a person listening to this radio program, find yourself in the geographic area known as the United States of America while you're listening, this is further evidence that the politicians don't give a crap about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about you at all. You are collateral damage to them in this, quote, war, unquote, against a virus.
603-283-6160 is the number here. You can bring up what you want. We got a full hour to go. Hour 3 is on the way. Got time for you if you want to join us. Ian and the Captain here on the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need. A WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another acquittal for the former president. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. The Senate voting to acquit former President Trump in his second impeachment trial, this time accused of inciting last month's riot at the Capitol. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says that part of the reason why he voted to acquit was because the Senate was overreaching in terms of what impeachment is supposed to represent.
This body is not invited to act as the nation's overarching moral tribunal. We're not free to work backward from whether the accused party might personally deserve some kind of punishment.
But McConnell did condemn Mr. Trump, calling him practically and morally responsible for the riot. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi blasted Republicans for the acquittal.
What we saw in that Senate today was a cowardly group of Republicans who apparently have no options because they were afraid to defend their job, respect the institution in which they serve.
The final vote, 57-43, with 7 Republicans joining all 50 Democrats. Fox's Chad Pergram has more on today's impeachment trial.
The lead impeachment manager, Jamie Raskin, noting at that press conference that this was the most bipartisan Senate impeachment vote for a president in history, even though they failed to convict. One of those 7 Republican senators who voted to convict was Richard Burr from North Carolina. Also GOP Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy. And Raskin saying that at least they finally got President Trump to concede that he's now a former president.
Former President Trump issuing a statement saying he welcomes the acquittal. The White House says press aide T.J. Ducklo has resigned after a discussion with the White House Chief of Staff today. Ducklo had been suspended a day earlier for making sexist and threatening comments to a reporter. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you that running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Oklahoma has pulled the plug on a plan to have the federal government help set up large-scale coronavirus vaccination sites. Officials say they would have to use existing allocation, which is barely enough for sites already operating. A fire damages a famous camp for kids.
A Friday night fire destroyed a large portion of Paul Newman's Hole-in-the-Wall Gang camp. The camp for seriously ill kids is located in Ashford, Connecticut. Fire departments first responded to an automatic alarm just before 5 p.m. The good news is no one was injured. The bad news, the buildings that house the camp store and the arts and crafts, wood shop, and cooking programs were a total loss. The cause of the fire is unknown. The camp, founded by the late Academy Award-winning actor, was founded in 1988 and has a Western motif inspired by one of his best-known films, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Jimmy Canton is the camp's chief executive. In a statement, he said they'll get through this in the way that we always have and always will, as a family. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
Mexico's National Guard has detained more than 100 Central American migrants. They were traveling inside an overcrowded truck toward the U.S. border. Costco is shutting down all of its photo departments this weekend. Fox's Evan Brown reports.
Most people today take their snapshots using their phone and only occasionally print them up at a photo shop. Gone are the days of the casual photographer taking film rolls or disposable cameras to get developed. Now,
we have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
This is the Onion Week in Review. In a landmark 5-4 decision issued this Wednesday, the Supreme Court ruled to allow Americans to cram cash directly into politicians' mouths. The ruling, which effectively eradicates former prohibitions against stuffing checks and stacks of $100 bills straight down the throats, ears, and other orifices of presidential and congressional candidates, is expected to fundamentally alter the ways American politicians have large quantities of money shoved right into their bodies.
In football music news this week, the 1985 Chicago Bears reunite to
to record their first new material since the Super Bowl Shuffle. The group says the new material will be darker and more introspective than its Shuffle-era work. And in this week's op-ed pages, a man asks why, if God exists, doesn't he throw us like a really sweet party? In other news, an increasing number of men feel pressured to accept realistic standards of female beauty. FedEx confirms that more than 600,000 people try to mail themselves each year. And a recovering alcoholic doesn't need friends to have a good time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the third hour of the program. Open phones as always, although the topic tonight has been these domestic travel restrictions that they are talking about, apparently. According to major news service McClatchy, D.C., the Biden administration has put all options on the table as far as restricting domestic travel. And is that going to mean we're going to see TSA checkpoints between the states? 603-283-6160. And if so, what do you think about that? One guy earlier said he supports it.
Yeah, get ready to lose more of your freedoms either way.
Oh, yeah. That's guaranteed.
It seems, COVID-19 is here to stay whether you want it or not, even though there's more than a 99% chance that you're going to recover from it should you get it.
Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. You can bring up what you want. I do want to let you know that, let's see, we got the Matrix chat server, and you can go to chat.freetalklive.com. One of the best sounding calls tonight was Derek J., who called in the first hour. Sounded fantastic. So if you really want to sound great, that's the best way to call in to join us here. And we're going to go to Sir Kenosha Kyle, His Eminence, calling from, I believe, Idaho. And you are on Free Talk Live, sir. Go ahead.
So you mentioned Biden possibly doing some federal travel restrictions while discussing that they may do some to Florida. And living up here in North Idaho, the Coeur d'Alene area, we usually share economies from Spokane, Washington, which is just a stone's throw away.
Mm-hmm. We're on KXLY there in Spokane tonight, or today.
But normally you see more traffic during the warmer season because we have the big lake Coeur d'Alene. There's tons of Washingtonians who go downtown Coeur d'Alene and spend time on the water there. It's not normally during winter, especially now we've got, 18-degree weather with negative 10-degree wind chill and snow. But I spent some time in Spokane today, and driving back into Idaho, it was just a sea of Washington license plates, nothing but them coming and going.
Okay.
I only saw 2 Idaho license plates in Washington state. And if you go around to the restaurants like I did earlier tonight, you'll see that almost half of the license plates are Washingtonians because you could actually go out and eat and it's a normal experience.
Well, what's going on in Washington? Are they highly restricted as far as... I mean, obviously Seattle's going to be bad, but is Spokane, just as bad or close to it?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because Governor Inslee, Washington's tyrannical governor, he instituted this new reopening phase program. And he actually opened King County, which is where Seattle is, about a week ago, even though they had more cases and more COVID stuff over there, and kept most of Eastern Washington. Well, right. Yes, he stepped it back so you could actually do some dining in restaurants. Previously, you couldn't go in at all. They were completely closed, takeout only. So he, opened up one stage, which was a big slap in the face to people out here in Spokane because they've had lower cases, this and that. But they're also where the Republican, the non-Democrat, which is Inslee supporting voters, exist. However, just recently, Spokane did finally get permission from the great tyrant king that he is to bring it back a stage and do, some 25%, I think, or something in dining. But still, Washingtonians are traveling over to Idaho to have normal dining experiences.
Now, when you say normal, a lot of states still have various restrictions. Is it that Idaho has no restrictions whatsoever on restaurants, or that by comparison, it's just not as bad?
It's almost completely unrestricted. They do have some restrictions. I think it's like tables have to be anti-socially distanced, like 6 feet away or something.
What about masks by employees?
So that's the interesting thing. There is no state requirement. There is, however, a local health board, the Panhandle Health Society, that has to do with the 3 North Idaho counties here that recently voted against their previous vote and reinstated the mask mandate. However, businesses here haven't been following that for, I don't know, 8 months now. And so you can go out and find restaurants where there is not a single employee wearing them. In fact, there's actually some restaurants that say if you open carry and don't wear a mask, we'll give you a 20% discount.
Love
That's
that.
awesome.
That's awesome.
And if these travel restrictions happen, kind of bringing it back, circle back Psaki style, I think there's going to be a lot of Washingtonians mad, and other states too. I mean, I saw countless Oregon, Texas plates out there. There's going to be a lot of people who probably support some of these closures, but are okay with it because they have nearby towns or less restricted towns, less restricted states that they can travel to and get a reprieve from. Because even in Washington, like dog parks are closed. You can't, you're not even supposed to go out camping. There's going to be a lot more people against that than previously, I think.
Now, you in the chat room, or you're in the On Air Now chat, and you were pimping Florida as the most free state. Are you packing up to move?
Honestly, I would if I could.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I hate the heat, but
okay.
It's pretty damn free. However,
you think it's that much better than Idaho? Wasn't Idaho one of the more free states as well?
You're right. It's not that much better. However, the governor actually took a stance in Florida where the governor here, as we call him, Brad Doolittle, he refused to actually make a stance and left it up to local municipalities and Panhandle Health Societies, which is ironic because 2 out of 3 of the counties for the Panhandle Health Society, those sheriffs said they will not enforce at all.
Anything else you want to share tonight about the situation there?
That's it. I hope DeSantis actually sticks to his guns. There needs to be some governor who actually pushes back against some of this stuff.
Well, he will until re-election time.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Thank you, Sir Kenosha Kyle, His Eminence, calling there from our Matrix chat server. Look, you want to sound that great? Because that sounded great.
He did sound good, yeah.
You just got to get on our Matrix chat server, and you can do that by going to chat.freetalklive.com. The other thing that you can do is you can join our we've got a social network that we launched, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, I think now at this point. It was sort of at the peak of all the takedowns on Twitter, and Trump got taken down.
The cancel culture kicking in.
Yeah.
We didn't want to get canceled, so we took preemptive steps.
Exactly. And I think it's been great so far. I've never really been a daily social media updater or anything like that, so I'm not really doing it more often than I did previously, but it's nice to be able to post to a place where I know that there's no one else who can take down what we're doing.
Yeah, or what I have to say.
Right.
Yeah. Being a free speech proponent, what's the amendment?
First
Amendment. Yeah. So, I obviously don't care about the amendments. What I do care about is the ability to say what I have to say. It's important to me to be able to say what I have to say, regardless, and if my opinion's wrong, far out, solid, and right on, I'm free to change that with information. Now, if information isn't exchanged freely between people, then how am I ever going to change my opinion on any topic?
That's a great point. And that is, always the best response to bad information is good information and posting a different opinion and having people be able to hash out their differences and have discussions and arguments or whatever.
I'll take dangerous freedom over safe whatever.
Me too. I wish more people would agree with that perspective. It seems like almost everybody's in favor of safety this, safety that, and it's just so disappointing. Now, I realize there are some pockets of the United States where there's more pushback, where there's fewer people wearing masks and being so obedient, but man, there's still a lot of people that are.
The overwhelming majority is still a bunch of sheep.
Almost everywhere I stopped along my journey back from Texas with Bonnie a few weeks ago, there were masked people everywhere in every state. Tennessee was the one place where I forget what town we were in, but there was 80% of the people in the restaurant did not have, when they were coming in, they weren't wearing masks.
Could you tell if any of them were wearing 2 masks like the news suggestion?
I don't look close enough, Yeah. I'm not scrutinizing people's faces. I don't really care. One mask,
I see
awful.
people having enough trouble with the one mask, always shifting it around, trying to wipe their nose, sneezing into it,
dude,
all that kind of stuff. I can't imagine the general population being able to handle wearing 2 masks appropriately, much less The effective.
I was in a store the other day. I won't say where it was. The clerk of the store dropped the mask on the floor at least twice and put it back on.
Oh, yeah, of course. These things roll around in your center console of your car on the floor.
603-283-6160 if you want to join us here. The proposal on the table from the Biden administration apparently is domestic travel restrictions. You want to weigh in, especially if you support the idea. We'd love to hear from you. 603-283-6160. You can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live. You're invited if you want to join us here. The number, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio here tonight, you've got Ian.
And the captain.
We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. Of course, you can bring up whatever is on your mind. We have been talking about the proposed idea of domestic travel restrictions. This is something that apparently they are talking about at the federal government administration of the Biden administration.
I just want to ask listeners, how much more are you willing to put up with? How much more of this crap are you willing to put up with? Because it's not going to end until you personally end it, until each and every one of you begins to stand up and say, no, I have had enough.
And I'm not going to take it anymore.
That's right. That's the only time it's going to end.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to continue, just like all governments throughout all of history have done.
So we're going to find out, Captain. We're going to see how far people will let them go, because so far they've let them go as far as they wanted, and they're going to keep pushing it. And that's the way governments work. That's the way these psychopaths operate. 603-283-6160. We're going to continue going back to your calls and thoughts. AC is on the line in Ohio. AC, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I just got done listening to last night's episode, and you briefly mentioned about Gene passed away, and I was like, what? No way. I couldn't believe that.
Well, I mean, when you're over 70 as a male, it gets more and more believable that you're going to pass away at some point. So, I mean, it's sad, but true.
And what was interesting enough was when I called in to want to talk about what happened, it just so happens another guy called in, and you actually said everything I wanted to hear.
Okay, well, what do you think about domestic travel restrictions?
They suck.
Succinct to the point.
The only restrictions that are good are the ones on the state, but that never happened.
Yeah, the state doesn't like to restrict itself, that's for sure. Thank you, AC, for the call tonight. I appreciate it. 603-283-6160. John is in Washington State. You're on Free Talk Live. John, how are you listening to the show tonight?
Oh, I'm listening on AM radio.
Where are you at? Where are you at in Washington State?
I'm just outside of Seattle, Bremerton.
Excellent, sir. Go ahead with your call and your thoughts.
Okay. In this state, Washington State, the legislature, which has been dominated Democratic for a long time, is working a bill to make it necessary for everyone in this state with a car to have a transponder in the car so they can see how many miles you're driving, because they're on this the global change, global warming is a national security issue, and we've got to see how many miles you're driving, and so you're going to have a state-monitored transponder in your car, or every 3 months you're going to have to go into a state transportation station and have your mileage monitored.
Now, this was a proposal that was floated a long time ago when the electric cars and the hybrid cars started coming out, because they were more efficient on gasoline. Do you remember that where they said, oh, we're going to need to start tracking the miles people drive?
Right. They wanted to tax you by the mile.
And by the way, where do they get the electricity for these cars? Nuclear generation?
No.
I mean, nobody's answered that question. Who's producing this electricity?
Well, whoever your electric companies are in whatever area you're in. So it could be coal, it could be gas. I don't know what they do in hydro. I don't know what they do there in the various parts of Washington.
Nuclear.
Now, what is this bill? Do you know anything about the bill? Do you know the bill number, or did you just hear this through the grapevine?
I'm sorry, I don't. I listen to a good talk radio station in this area, and they brought it up recently. And it's no joke. I mean, these people want to put a transponder in your car, and if you don't get one, or if you don't go into their station every 3 months so they can monitor your mileage, then you can't buy your tabs to renew your driving.
John,
I mean, this is no joke. This is really going on here.
Yeah, thank you for the call tonight and giving us a heads up on that.
It doesn't surprise me. Several things in Seattle have been enacted like that. They rebuilt a bridge, the 520 bridge going across from the east side into Seattle, and when they did so, they were like, "Oh, it's not going to be a toll bridge. Don't worry." And then it was a toll bridge. The old Kingdom, the old sports arena there. When they tore it down to rebuild what is now, I can't remember the name of it, but it was Quest Field. Whenever it came up, it's called something else now. Whenever they built the new sports stadium, a bunch of people voted it down. They're like, no, we don't want the new sports stadium. And then they were like, oh, okay. And then they voted on it again, and people were like, no, we don't want the new sports stadium. And then they voted it again, and like it happened anyway. The same thing happened on the Seattle waterfront with they took down a 2-story viaduct. Traffic would go north on top and south on the bottom or whatever. Yep. And they wanted to replace that with a tunnel system that ran underground, so they had to actually
that'll cost some
build.
money.
It costs a huge amount of money, and people were like, "No, we don't want that," and they're like, "Oh, okay," and they voted again. No, we don't want that, and they did it anyway.
Sure, just like with the Bearcat here in Keene back in 2011 or whatever.
Yeah, so this is a repeated thing. It's not just in Seattle for those West Coasters
it's all over the
listening.
place.
This is how government operates. They put a proposal on the table, and the people go, "No, we don't want that," and they go, "Oh, okay," and then they put it back on the table, and people go, "No, we don't want that," and then they do it anyway. It doesn't matter how you vote. It doesn't matter what your representatives do. They don't represent you. They're going to do what they want to do regardless of your opinion.
Right, and people get upset for a moment, and they're like, oh, we're going to throw the bums out. And then, 4 years go by.
The bums get in.
And the 4 years go by, and they never vote the, incumbents out. If the incumbent does get voted out, another scumbag just goes right into the position. So, these positions attract scum.
Yeah.
They attract the people who are in search of power over others. And whether they're called Republicans or Democrats, it makes no discernible difference in the long run.
Yeah, government is a life force extracting mechanism.
Yeah.
It is a leech.
That's right.
On the face of society.
Big tick.
A giant tick. And the only time it gets better is when the tick explodes. But then you have the problem of all, your wound getting all infected and it goes awry and it becomes all horrible, which is kind of what we're experiencing right now.
Well, it hasn't exploded yet, though. That's the thing.
It's getting pretty close.
It's bad news, man. People need to do something about this. And look, if you are a liberty-minded person, if you are a libertarian, if you're a voluntarist, if you're a liberty-loving anarchist, then you really need to consider making a move. I mean, it was important 10 years ago, and it's even more important now than it's ever been. That number one, if they put domestic travel restrictions in place, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're too late.
Yeah. Now, I mean, maybe if you kiss the ring, they'll let you go through if
fill
you've got
out
the right
just the
forms.
right paperwork and pay the right amount of fees.
Right, or maybe you'll be able to smuggle yourself. Maybe they'll allow certain commercial traffic because people still got to eat, right? So they're going to let the truckers through, presumably, or they're totally insane, which they may be.
While I'm giving the state ideas, a relocation license must be applied for and approved before you can move.
There you go. And, of course, in order to do that, you'll have to bend over for the anal swab. And, the whole thing. Just wait. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong, and that we don't.
I sincerely don't feel like I am.
But I feel like time is running out. I mean, Captain, you said a year ago, you felt like you just got out in time from Seattle.
I did.
Yeah,
it's going on 2 years.
It's not too late for you to get out of where you are and come and join the largest migration of freedom-loving activists anywhere. Even if you're not going to be an activist, even if all you want to do is come live, that's still a better option for you. Check out, we'll tell you more about it coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
It's The Onion Radio News. A new crispy snack cracker will ease the crushing pain of modern life. The dull, all-consuming ache of present-day existence will be slightly alleviated when Nabisco's breakthrough TC McCrispies line of crackers arrives today. Available in regular, Garden Ranch, and Zesty Cheddar, the new crackers will flood consumers' bodies with fat, salt, and starch to produce a pleasing sensation of warmth and nourishment, momentarily freeing them from a relentless, crushing sense of profound grief. Mel Krychek is Nabisco's Director of Corporate Communications.
Our tasty new snack cracker will, if only for a few lovely moments, significantly lessen the hideously bleak and empty torment of modern life that festers in every solitary soul.
Nabisco expects most despair-riddled consumers to eat an entire box in one sitting. Doyle Redland for The Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit shiresociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, and it's the live Saturday episode.
We're here, and this is where we are.
Yep, and it's Ian.
And the captain.
The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. By the way, AnyPay 2.0 is here, and crypto payments are now faster than ever. I used AnyPay tonight to pay for my meal at the local Lucky Sevens bar here in Keene, New Hampshire. And it works great because I use Edge Wallet. But there's also some other great wallets that work with it, like Handcash. I also use Handcash. Bitcoin.com's wallet or Dash Wallet. If you're using those wallets, you're fine. It's going to work great.
Good to go.
However, some wallets out there like Coinomi, it's a great wallet, or Exodus Wallet, RelayX, or Bread Wallet, they're great wallets in their own right, but they don't work with AnyPay yet.
Right.
Now, we want you to help make that possible because, look, it's a marketplace. It's an open source. Well, not all of them are open source, but it's a competitive marketplace, and there's a lot of wallet options out there. They don't all do the same things. They focus on different factors, different features.
Weird how like a free marketplace of these things spawns many different options for you.
And some options are better than others when it comes to making payments. So if you want to help these other wallets get up to speed and be useful for real-life payments and online payments, go to anypayinc.com/upgrade, anypayinc.com/upgrade, and there are instructions there as to how to get in touch with these wallets and what you might want to say about it, to give you a little information, a little background on why some wallets work with AnyPay 2.0 and others don't. anypayinc.com/upgrade. To your phone calls and thoughts. We go to Jim. He's listening in New Mexico, and he's unusual because he's listening over our satellite free-to-air KU band feed, which we don't hear callers calling in from very often.
Damn it, Jim. That's great.
Nice to know that people are out there listening in. If you want to learn more about our satellite feeds like that, you can go to sat.lrn.fm, and they'll give you all the details there. We're on over North America and Sub-Saharan Africa, so you can actually listen to Free Talk Live and the other LRN.fm shows that way. But Jim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, right on. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm fairly remote out here, so the KU-band satellite dish is a godsend.
Right.
And your spiel just before you took my call sort of answered, my questions, I guess, to a certain extent. Calling in to get your recommendations for the best all-around crypto wallet, as far as fees and security and ease of use. And also, I want to be able to purchase things with the wallet. Right now, just since November, I've been using PayPal just to buy and sell.
Ooh.
And it's only a couple of dollars for each transaction. And, I've doubled my money since November.
Great. That's fantastic.
I want an actual crypto wallet.
Right.
that
Yeah,
I
you got to
can
take this to the
purchase
next
items
level.
with.
And the reason why is, it's great news that PayPal got into Bitcoin. I was really glad to hear that at the end of 2020. It helped push the price of Bitcoin up, so kudos to them for that. But the thing PayPal's really botched up so far, and maybe they'll fix it this year, I don't know, but is you can't actually withdraw the Bitcoin that you buy from PayPal.
Yeah, you have to transduce it or transfer it from Bitcoin into U.S. dollars before you can move it around to anywhere meaningful, like a bank account or whatever.
Or your own wallet, in this case, when it comes to the crypto.
And there's a rule in the crypto universe called not your keys, not your Bitcoin.
Right.
And so what's happening is PayPal is keeping your keys and only allowing you to withdraw the dollar value in United States dollars. So yes, you certainly do want to upgrade. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to take any of the Bitcoin from PayPal and move it into a crypto wallet. You're going to have to deposit it into US dollars, into, a bank account arguably, or withdraw it in some other way, shape, or form.
Then buy Bitcoin somewhere else.
And then buy Bitcoin somewhere else using those dollars, to get it into your new wallet.
Yeah, but if you doubled your money, then, no big deal. Just cash it out and then move it elsewhere. But let me answer the question, because we did throw a few wallet names out there as far as ones that worked well with AnyPay, but that's certainly not the only thing you want to consider. So I'm going to answer this, Captain, and then please weigh in with your opinion. There are a couple of wallets out there I like a lot, and I'll tell you why. I like Edge Wallet for mobile applications. I wish there were a desktop version of it. There is not at this time, but it's open source, so in theory somebody could just cook up a desktop version. They just haven't yet. But for like having a smartphone and having a wallet on the smartphone, I like Edge Wallet. It allows you to have multiple cryptocurrencies. To me, that's a must-have. There are a lot of great single currency wallets out there. Like Mycelium's a great Bitcoin only wallet, or at least last time I looked, maybe they added something to it. But so there are a lot of like single great wallets out there. But I gotta have more than one crypto. I can't just be one crypto only, only Bitcoin or only Dash or only this. I got to have a bunch of them. And so Edge Wallet allows you. Yeah, Edge Wallet allows you to do that. I think there's a few dozen options that they'll allow you to have. And it's the thing also I like about it, especially for newer users, is it's a username and password to create the account and to log into it. Whereas other wallets like Coinomi, again, fine wallet, Coinomi has the 12 words, or Exodus has 12 or 18 words or whatever it is, and those are the backup phrases. So there's these things called backup phrases. When you create a wallet, a real wallet, a wallet that you control the keys, like Captain was talking about, they're going to give you backup information, and you better write that down and store it in a super safe place. Preferably like a fireproof safe, because you don't want that thing to burn up or whatever. But you want to have this backup information. You want to have it off of. I'm sorry?
What's the question?
Does Edge do that?
Yeah, well, so Edge is doing it with a username and password, which makes it unique. I've never seen a wallet do that before, and so it's a much easier system for a new user to get into. But like with the backing up the other wallets, if you don't write down the username and the password and keep that in a safe place that's separate from your phone, if your phone falls in a lake or the toilet or something like that, and you don't remember your password, you can't get your crypto back ever. That's the thing when you have your own keys. You're your security agent. You're in charge completely of your money. There's no banker that you can go to, show your ID and say, oh, I'm locked out of my account. Can you change my password? Doesn't work that way. And that's true with Koinomi. It's true with Exodus Wallet. It's true with all of these wallets where you're the person in control of your keys. So I like Edge Wallet for mobile, but I also really like Exodus. I like Exodus for cross-platform use. So if you've got like a laptop or a desktop computer, again, Edge doesn't have a desktop version, but Exodus Wallet's very slick. Looks nice. It's multi-crypto. What do you think, Captain? What's your favorite one or two wallets out there?
Well, just to add on to the Edge Wallet love, I recently had to change my phone from an older model to a newer model.
Yep.
And I had to change the SIM card because my older model phone had the regular size SIM card, but the new phone only took the nano SIM card.
Gotcha.
So, and when I did so, all I did was go and download the Edge Wallet, put in my username and password. Boom, all my money was there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a concern of mine because I had only started using the Edge Wallet when I moved here, a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And so it has been my go-to. I haven't had a desire to find another wallet because it does all of the things
It's got exchange
that I needed to do. It's got an exchange within it, so if I need to, I don't have enough of this, I need some of that, I can go and exchange right within the wallet.
And it goes to multiple exchanges, too. So it's not like Edge has their own exchange they're forcing you to use.
Right.
They actually query different exchanges out there. So let's say you've got old Bitcoin, BTC, and you want to turn it into Monero. Well, they'll look out there on the internet and say, all right, well, here's the best option based on the rates at the time on these exchanges to give you the lowest fee.
Or you can set it up to where you say, hey, give me only options that don't require KYC or know your customer.
That's awesome.
So it does a lot of cool stuff. So Edge Wallet for your mobile phone, that's where you want to keep your spending money. Right, a little play money, that kind of a thing. We're in a spend environment here in New Hampshire where we can buy stuff. Now, there's another option you might want to consider. I don't know how much you have invested or want to get invested into the cryptocurrency, but if it's more than just your daily spending cash, stuff for like your food and stuff, get a hardware wallet. I use the Trezor Model T.
I like the Trezor.
And it is great. It is fantastic.
The older one, the Model
no,
T,
it's the newest one.
I use the older
upgraded.
one. It's fantastic, too.
I used to use Keep Key, but they went full KYC, so I switched over to the Trezor.
Jim, I hope that helps you. A little bit of introductory kind of stuff. And if you're brand new to crypto, get over to Bitcoin.com, watch the introductory videos there, and get a grasp.
Do
for the
your
concepts.
research.
I appreciate you listening out there on our satellite feed, the free-to-air satellite. We're coming up, Free Talk Live. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome to the remaining moments of this episode of
Oh, wow, man.
Free Talk Live. The phones are open as always, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio with you, it's Ian.
And Captain Kickass is here.
Captain Kickass, you do song parodies.
I do.
And many of them are available for listening and downloading.
Indeed.
And
All
purchase.
of them are available for listening, downloading, and or purchase. Some of them, at least one of them, is you can put in $0 for the cost.
Sweet. That's one of the COVID carols, right?
It is, yeah.
You can get them and listen to them over at lordkickass.com.
This is a scientific fact.
And you should do that as well.
I agree. Yes, you should. You should go there now.
Because you need more laughter in your life. You need more smiles, especially now.
Don't we all? Yeah. I mean, and I've done some stuff I'm proud of. I made a parody of the Safety Dance. Let's see what other songs. One of them's a Beatles tune. I've done.
Yeah, you've been doing it a long time. Get on over there, lordkickass.com. Also, you can get over to amp.freetalklive.com and be like Arno Stachler, who is a Free Talk Live Gold Amplifier.
That's a swell name.
Yeah. So check out AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. It stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's a way for you to help Free Talk Live get on more radio stations, bring new internet listeners on board, and expose new people to the ideas of freedom. You get some cool perks, like access to the supporters chat room on our new chat server, the Matrix server at chat.freetalklive.com. That'll be one of the perks you get, and there's others. Go to amp.freetalklive.com.
Plus, it sounds cool to say, I'm an amplifier.
Yeah, we appreciate you doing that. Like Arno Stachler over at amp.freetalklive.com. And yes, you can use Bitcoin BTC, and you can use credit card, debit card, PayPal. We appreciate you doing that. It helps us spread the ideas of freedom. That's amp.freetalklive.com. To the phones, to the fun, we got David. He's on the line in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, man, the big fight coming up. I need some details. Did Bernalillo County, New Mexico, DA Raul Torres, a.k.a. Rico Suave, did he call in to make arrangements for our big fight coming up?
No, we did not hear from anybody like that. Nope.
Man, come on, Rico, we need to hear from you.
What's the fight
Raul,
you're referring to? Which fight are you referring?
The challenge that the captain and I put out to Raul, since he surrendered to me 4 times in a row in court.
Right, they dropped all the charges against you for calling a local radio station there.
Yeah, and then I challenged him since he dismissed the charges, but he dismissed them so that they can refile them anytime they want to up until the deadline.
Without
which
prejudice?
is kind of abuse. Pardon?
Mm-hmm. So they dismiss them without prejudice, as they call it in court.
Yeah, which is kind of a lame way to go because it's like, they're dismissed. You can go on about your life, except if we change our mind, all of a sudden and we decide we're going to refile.
Right. What's the statute of limitations on these charges? How long do they have to file the charges?
Well, you see, there's actually two clocks. The statute of limitations is one thing, but the clock in the court is a whole different clock.
Huh.
And the clock that I'm talking about is not the statute of limitations, but the clock when they file a charge, then they got, like 6 months that they have to complete this in, and that's the clock I'm talking about.
Okay.
And anyway, so he can refile them. There's another couple weeks or whatever left, and I just think it's kind of lame that's kind of not very polite to dismiss a charge, except if we change our mind, we can refile them all over again. I think that's kind of lame, and so I called Raul out on that. In fact, I challenged him. If he's going to do that, he should just refile them all over again, and let's fight. Let's go back to fighting again. And if you're not going to do that, well, I just challenged him to an MMA or a boxing or kung fu, whatever Raul's an expert in.
You've challenged him to a duel. You've taken the proverbial gloves and smacked him upside the face and said, I challenge thee to a duel.
Except that this is legal. Dueling is not legal, but MMA, sanctioned fight, MMA, boxing.
Well, maybe not in New Mexico, but in some places, I think it's Washington State, where it's actually legal. Street fighting with consenting opponents is actually legal. And from what I understand, the police, if there's one nearby, you can call him over and he'll like referee the fight.
We were talking about getting David and Rico, or whatever his name is, up to Fork Fest. Suave, up to Fork Fest.
The bureaucrat?
Yeah, up to Fork Fest.
You don't want a bureaucrat at Fork
for
Fest?
the showdown.
No, I don't want any bureaucrats coming up there. Hey, thanks, David, for the call, man. I appreciate it, man. 603-283-6160. Captain, you had another story tonight that sounded really interesting, and I think we got time to get it on the air.
Here goes.
We've been talking about these domestic travel restrictions.
This is from BusinessInsider.com. It's the most ridiculous thing I've read all week.
Oh, boy.
A $1,400 stimulus check will allow 22.6 million Americans to pay their bills in full through mid-July, a new report finds.
What? How?
Now, again, like
$1,400 don't even pay the rent in a lot of cases.
That's what I'm saying. Now, I used to live in Seattle, and it was super expensive. I moved out here. It's not quite as expensive. But even so, there's no way $1,400 is going to pay my bills in full through mid-July.
Now, wait a minute. They said this is only for a certain percentage of Americans, right?
22.6 million.
Is that the percentage of Americans that's like on welfare?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? So
that's a good question.
If they're already in a welfare house, they're not paying rent. Do the welfare houses cover your power too? I've never lived in one of those, so I don't know. But that's my guess here. What is the details on this?
Well, the House Committee on Ways and Means included $1,400 stimulus checks with a $75,000 income threshold. So if you make more than $75,000, you ain't getting one.
Okay.
For individuals in its stimulus bill. And the report from Morning Consult found that if those checks are delivered by March, many Americans will be able to avoid financial hardships through mid-July. In January, according to the report...
As though they aren't already having financial hardships.
Considering the, one payment and then of $1,200 and then the one of $600.
You're out of your job right now or whatever.
Or your business is closed, whatever. In January, according to the report, roughly 30.2 million adults were unable to pay their bills. But following the $600 stimulus payment approved in December, there was a 7 percentage point improvement from the months prior
Whoopee-doo.
in terms of ability to pay. In other words, the stimulus checks have not dramatically changed the number of people unable to pay their bills. Duh.
Yeah, 7%, that's barely statistically significant.
But it brought them closer to paying their bills, the report said.
Oh, wow.
Of course it did. So would $20 that I find on a ground score. As I'm walking down the street.
Right.
Financial suffering was concentrated in low-income groups making $50,000 or less per year, according to the report, with 16% of survey respondents in those income groups indicating that their expenses exceeded their incomes in January. If widespread vaccinations are successfully achieved by the end of June, economic activity should accelerate in July.
Why? Why would it accelerate? Why are vaccinations going to accelerate anything?
They're not going to do anything.
They're
You're
already
right.
telling people you're going to have to keep wearing masks after the vaccinations.
They've been telling people that already.
Right.
Biden wants you to wear a mask through all of 2021 into 2022.
He wants you to wear 2 masks.
Indeed.
So that's not going to stop all these restrictions, which are the things that are killing businesses. It's not the COVID that's killing businesses.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to actually say that 20+% of Americans will be able to pay their bills for 3 months
on $1,400.
On $1,400.
These people live a delusional life if they think that is going to do the trick. And just like we saw in, the last stimulus bill, it's going to be loaded with other money for a whole bunch of other people.
Oh, yeah.
Billions
and billions, hundreds of billions.
This is hush money for you to hush up, for you to behave, obey the government, and never you mind what else is in this bill. It's awful. It's just ridiculous.
There's other news. This one is just really worth a mention. Since we were just talking about court with David there, did you hear about the cat in court story, the cat video? So everything now is on these Zoom calls or WebEx or whatever, these online video conferencing, and courts
I'm familiar with them.
Are doing that. And so apparently a Texas lawyer, somebody had turned on, maybe it was like his kid or something like that, they turned on a cat filter. So they have these filters for video feeds.
Yes.
And you can make yourself look.
I saw this headline, but I didn't read the story.
You can make yourself look like a character of some sort, right?
Yes.
Like you can warp yourself. And so this is a cat filter. And so a lawyer was actually in a court hearing as a cat, and he had to inform the judge, quote, "I am not a cat." And I don't know how long it took him to actually figure out, or if he ever did figure out.
It should have been a catfish.
The cat filter off.
Because they're both scum-sucking bottom dwellers.
Yeah, courts are absolutely awful. They've been bad, and they're worse than they've ever been. They can't be accessed. It's very difficult to get into them. It's very difficult to get a case heard if you're a defendant. I mean, it is bad out there. But that was at least kind of funny. We'll see you tomorrow night. Online in the meantime, freetalklive.com. Have a great weekend.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.